Welcome to the 80s. Hi guys, this is no run-of-the-mill puke and rebuke chat. It's a my best friend's exorcism chat. Yay! So hopefully I'll be joined by Josh. Hi Josh. I'll just add Josh in. Would be Josh. Right, I just add everyone in. Let's join in. Hi Josh.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Looking good. Loving the 80s vibes.
80s. I've kind of gone with like the side pony scrunchy.
A scrunchy.
Bright earrings.
I love it.
Hi Dustin.
Hi.
Hello. Back for more trouble. Right, Emma, I'm missing. There we go.
Emma.
There we go. It's because I forgot to send the invite because I was chatting. Hi, everyone joining in. Right. Hopefully Emma will be here. Emma! Yeah!
Emma's possessed.
Oh, we knew the best
Hi, guys.
exorcism tonight. We knew it. Oh, I love it, Emma. Oh, you look so good. Oh,
thank you.
The ladies did it this time. We did not come through with this one, Josh.
I can't fit a scrunchie in my hair, unfortunately.
I know.
Definitely think it's easier for the ladies this one because we could just make our hair big and.
I mean, well, I could have worn like a polo shirt, but it would have been like too preppy, I think, for this. So.
These guys, these are genuine 80s earrings. These ones, they come actually from the 80s.
Wow!
You can tell.
Vintage.
I love it. Oh, that's amazing. Larissa said we got a spooky chair because when you came on, Emma, it was like pointing at the chair.
Oh, I don't know what keeps happening. All of a sudden, my camera's ran the wrong way, and I don't know how to make it run the right way before we start. So it's just my spooky chair.
Spooky chair.
The doll's gone. I don't know where it is. The killer doll's gone.
Can you
find it.
Like, it was just like a doll.
It's loose in the heart.
That's all we heard.
Do that next time.
Oh my god, that would freak me out. You know what I'm like. Right. Hello everybody.
Hello.
I sounded very posh then. I didn't mean to.
Hello everyone.
So tonight we're going to be talking about my best friend's exorcism. Oh,
mine's upstairs. I literally just got finished recording a podcast episode, and I was like, I gotta go.
Right.
So we forgive you.
We won't be talking about the book so much. There are a few questions just about what we liked about the book, but we are talking about the movie that was released on Friday on Prime. So my best friend's exorcism movie. So we'll be chatting about that. So thank you to everyone who's joined and the guests that we've got. So as usual, we have the brilliant Josh. And I offered him 10 yogurt punch cards in exchange for doing this chat, but he said he'd do an exorcism instead on Emma.
And I love yogurt, so that's how dedicated I am.
And never grotesque and never gnarly, and I love her like a sister. It's Emma.
I was going to laugh if you said Dustin.
I love you like a sister.
Love you like a sister too.
We're all sisters.
And yeah, with Dustin, you need to watch his eyes don't go black like a shark, especially as he's our special guest, and you just never know with Dustin. And I'm Shelley, and people often say I am cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, but this is just my normal, natural look. We'll go with that.
And we love it. We love
it. And thanks to everyone who's joining in. Feel free to pop comments up because I'd love to. I mean, we'd all love to hear what you thought of the movie. So as we go along, feel free to answer the questions as well, and I'll try and read them out. So essentially, if you don't know what My Best Friend's Exorcism is about, it's set in 1988, I believe. And it's about high school sophomores Abby and Gretchen, who have been best friends since 4th grade. But after an evening of skinny dipping, never go skinny dipping, goes disastrously wrong.
You don't do it in a lake, for sure. That's just,
Can you imagine?
all kinds of bacteria involved. Don't do it.
Oh, no. But yeah, after an evening of skinny dipping goes disastrously wrong, Gretchen begins to act a little different. So she's moody, she's irritable. She's a bit like me when I'm in a mood, to be honest. And
That's actually you right now, Shelley.
And there's some bizarre incidents that keep happening wherever she's nearby. That sounds like me as well. So Abby's investigation leads her to some startling discoveries, and by the time their story reaches its terrifying conclusion, the fate of Abby and Gretchen will be determined by a single question. Is their friendship powerful enough to beat the devil? Dum, dum, dum. So yeah, directed by, this is where I always butcher everyone's name. So directed by Damon Thomas, I think it is, best known for Killing Eve, I believe. Well, that's what I know him from. And teleplay or / screenplay by, is it Jenna Lamia? I don't know.
I don't
know.
I'm pronouncing that right. And produced by Christopher Landon. And it's obviously based on the book 2016 book by Grady Hendrix, published by Quirk Books. And yeah, as I said, the film the film was released on Friday. Oh god. So yeah, so now enough of me going on. So I think we've all read the book. All of us, haven't we? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because you and I read it.
Yeah.
Buddy read it.
Yeah, me and Dustin Buddy read
nice.
it. Oh, that was fun. That was
About a year ago,
My
actually.
best friend's buddy read.
Yeah, it was, and I think I just spent the most time talking about Brother Lemon.
Yeah.
With his whips and chains. So yes, I think we've all read the book that the movie's based on. So with regards to the book, what appealed to you about the book? Like, what made you enjoy it? Emma?
I think that Grady's got he writes females really, really well for me. He's got such a great writing style. It's very relaxed and laid back, very clever, and like it's almost effortless. And I just ripped through it, and I enjoyed all the 80s nostalgia, although some of the Americanisms I didn't get. I didn't understand some of it because it was just in America, that 80s vibe. I can't remember what it was, but something to do like filofaxes we had here, and it was something American
keepers.
there.
Yeah.
So I didn't get. Is that
What now?
Trapper keepers.
What's that, like the little filofax
keeper?
that you'd have?
Trapper
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
It's just a notebook. It's just a notebook that's kind of, it's got a cushion kind of to it. It's plastic covered, and it has different designs. You often have like either tie-dye or computer-looking designs, and sometimes I'll have them for movies and TV shows. And they have like a Velcro cup, and you can open up. It's just a notebook, so you can put your loose leaf paper into it and file stuff away. That's all it was.
Oh,
So a bit like a filofax. Yeah,
kinda.
traps and keeps. Yeah, clever.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I thought it was very nostalgic, and it was just really well. It was funny, but also really, really atmospheric and quite scary. I thought, yeah.
What did you think about the book, Josh, when you first read it?
I was just laughing because I was remembering a bit in the first chapter that made me absolutely howl with laughter, which is when they find.
I know what it is.
They find it porn or something, and they throw it at each other, and they're like, "You're gonna get pregnant."
I forgot all about that.
I forgot
Oh, that was hilarious.
So yeah, I think like the first chapter is like friendship condensed down into, it's almost like a short story that stands on its own. It's just like perfectly done. It's so well done, and I think the rest of the book really sort of like takes that baton and runs with it, and all the way to the final chapter, which I think is my favorite part of the book, which is when you discover how their friendship evolved and changed all the way up until the day that they died. So I think I love the focus on the friendships. I think it's really effective, and it's a really fun way to sort of tell a horror story through the horrors that can happen within a friendship.
No, definitely. How about you, Dustin? When you read the book, when we buddy read it, what did you think?
Kind of like what Emma was saying, but on the American side of things, it was really nostalgic for me because they had so many references that were definitely American. But it felt like what I described to people when I talk about this book. 'Cause I was like, hey, this movie's coming out and it's based on this book I read, and it feels like it's the Stranger Things of books in a way. You know what I mean? Like it had that really good nostalgic feel. It was written so well to where it felt like it was a movie when you're reading it. You know, it was one of those, it felt like this is going to translate very easily into a movie, and it should, because and all this nostalgic feels, and the comedy aspect of it, it made it light. All the horrible things that were happening, it made it feel light, so it doesn't feel so heavy. It made you want to keep reading it, even though you felt like there was an imminent danger type feel to it. It paced itself very well, which is what I really liked.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I know when we buddy read it, Dustin, like we flew through it really, really quick, because it's that kind of book, isn't it? It kind of just like flies as you're reading it. And I love the friendships. I always remember reading on the front or the back, there was a comparison to Beaches. And like Beaches is like, honestly, this is going to shock you, this is one of my favourite films like ever.
Oh, I wonder why.
It doesn't shock me in the least.
Because like it's just a friendship, all about friendship, and like the highs and lows of friendship and getting through those like rough times and things like that. And I just bloody love Bette Midler. I just think she's
I know
brilliant.
You choose, whenever you do karaoke, you're singing Wing Beneath My Wings. I know
Totally, yeah. So I absolutely loved it for that. And then obviously mixed with the horror, I just thought it was brilliant, and it's absolutely one of my favourite books, my best friend's Exorcism. And yeah, I could just reread it so many times and still find something new each time. And I think that's a sign of a good book as well. A lot of people saying about the book, brilliant depiction of friendship, Narissa said, beautiful. Karen's put she loved the chapter titles being Epic 80s tunes in the book, which is really good. And Narissa's put she cried, I presume, at the end of the book as well, because it was quite emotional actually. And Narissa's put, I'm glad Good Dog Max from the book had a cameo, but not as Gretchen's dog. And I do agree on that. I was a bit worried. I thought, ooh. But you know what? I read a tweet by Grady saying that the reason why he does put like dog deaths in his books is because when he was younger, he had a dog or something, and I don't know whether he was joking, because you know how Grady is.
You never know.
But apparently he had to like do something like kill it when it was ill or something. I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe at the vet. Hopefully he didn't have to shoot it or something.
I presume that's what he meant.
Oh.
So I don't know whether that's why
they do that like on farms and stuff. Oh, you got to put this dog down.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So I just read it
I
and
couldn't.
I thought, no. And Eddie's video said, personally, the first chapter of the meeting was something that I feel, unfortunately, was a bad decision that they didn't include in the movie. So, yeah, I agree on that. Why did we not get an E.T. roller disco party? No, I don't know.
Licensing.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be.
Impossible.
So was there talking about favourite parts of movies then, so was there a favourite parts of books and movies, was there a favourite part of the book that didn't appear in the movie in your opinion, Dustin?
Well, definitely I think I was looking for the beginning to start off a flashback like it did in the book, because I think the beginning is like in the 90s and it's later like in the late 90s, and then it flashes back to talking about her best friend's exorcism, and you go back to the whole thing, and then it jumps forward and you see her again, and then it starts telling you about what happened afterwards type of thing. So I thought I really wish that had been in there, but I mean I can understand why they wouldn't do that, but at the same time I was like, I kind of think it should be there, get that bookend in. But
no, definitely. How about you, Emma? Was there anything from the book that you wish was in the movie?
Loads. There was loads that should have been in there. I think I agree with Dustin, absolutely, that it would have been great to go from them as adults to them as kids to them as teenagers. That made the most sense to follow that pattern. There was nothing. If it's not broke, don't change it. It wasn't broke. So I was really disappointed that that didn't open in that way. You know, as us Uber fans, we want to see a true adaptation of the book. I know you can't do everything because Scream is a very different creature, but yeah, that also the birds, they were just randomly put in the movie here and there with no context. And for me, the birds were on the lawn. It was creepy, right, Dustin? It was creepy.
Yeah. I remember. I was like,
and why?
I don't remember. I was like, I don't remember these birds always flying over all the time. What's
They
going on?
weren't flying. They were just on the lawn and stuff. And then the parents, when they had that party,
They're in the
and
cover.
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
these birds, they were on the lawn. They were everywhere, weren't they? But they weren't done right. That wasn't done right. That they were just looking at people and nobody knew what they were. And then there was sort of a throwaway comment about the birds being there, and I think it was Brother Lemon that made that comment about
It was
the
about
birds
the
being
the
there.
owls.
Yeah.
About the owls.
But
yeah,
it wasn't always owls in the movie either. It was something. I'm like, why didn't you explain these hawks? Like, I don't understand.
What's going on? Yeah, so I think, and at the party, the parents throw, I thought that was a moment. And then why wasn't Abby at her job? You know, she had a job as well. She wasn't at her job.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, I remember it being really tough for her because she was so poor. And I was like, you know, that dynamic wasn't used enough. The mum had to go to the school and talk about her being, you know, a pain. It wasn't just Gretchen's parents that went. It was Abby's mum had to get involved, I think, at one point, or some, you know, she was going to get, I don't know what it was. I read it like a year ago, so I should have reread, to be honest. But I thought,
wish I'd
it'll come
reread,
back.
I forgot a
You
lot
know,
of
'cause
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I felt gaslighted almost by the movie because it wasn't what, like, there was all this new stuff and stuff that wasn't in there, and I was like, oh yeah, what's going on?
No, definitely. There was a lot of stuff that they did change or they took out or just completely kind of like new scenes as such that that weren't in the book. What about you, Josh? What were there any parts in the book that you wish was in the movie or?
Okay, I've got the worst memory, and I read the book maybe 5 years, 5
Whoa!
years ago. So
Oh, that's quite a long time ago.
It's a bit blurry. I'm not sure just remember how it made me feel, basically. But yeah, I think the thing that kind of slightly struck me watching the movie was I didn't fully understand why Gretchen and Abby were best friends in the movie version of the story. You know, in the book, we get a very clear understanding from that initial chapter in the beginning of why these sort of like mismatched people end up being really good friends. And so I think the film, by setting it entirely within that 80s sort of, you know, couple of weeks, whatever it is, it does lose a sort of a bit of a grounding maybe in their friendship that I didn't fully get why they were, because they were so different. You know,
It's like you weren't as invested in the movie. Right?
Yeah.
I did enjoy the film, but I did feel a little bit like what brought these two together, because we never get to know what it was. We see some pictures, I think, on the vanity maybe.
Yeah, like a little board thing.
Yeah, it's not really clear. No.
Yeah.
What about you, Shelley?
I think, was there a scene in the book where there was like a book club or something? I'm sure there was, like a book club. And something happened. I don't know why I remember that, and I can't even remember what happened at the book club.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did you read Southern Book Club's Vampire, like Guide to Slaying Vampires?
I wonder whether I'm getting confused. Like,
that's another one of his books.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Because I think in the film, my best friend's Exorcism film, there was a reference to raccoons as well, and I think that's in
the Southern
Vampire, in the Vampire book. So I'm sure there was
the
like
Southern
Book
Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I always get that mixed up.
That's why I was like, you're probably mixing those up somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I probably am.
Like an Easter egg.
Yeah, but I know. I think Jenna Lamia. I don't know whether I'm saying that right. I know she tweeted that they had to cut quite a lot of things for time and for budget, and obviously maybe certain things for licensing purposes, like, you know, like different music scores and things like that, because I'm sure it was like by the power of Phil Collins that they say in the book, and in the film it's like the power of Boy George, I think, something like that. So it's just like little things for me.
I did find it interesting that they stuck to that sort of classic horror movie length of like, what is it, 98 minutes?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
all the Netflix films are like 2 hours plus, which is
yeah.
crazy. But I felt
Mm.
they had a little bit of room with this one that they could have fleshed out a little bit more.
No, I
Yeah.
agree on that. I think it could have just been a bit longer, just so they could have fleshed out some of the, especially the scenes with the friends and the things that happened to them. For me, but I did find it fun. I rewatched it again today because sometimes when I watch adaptations, I watch it initially knowing how much I love the book, and then I'm like, it's not like the book. Da, 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 da. So then I need a second watch. So then I'm like a bit more open-minded. I know that sounds.
Yeah.
I know that
No,
sounds a
I'm the
bit
same. I'm the
strange.
same with Scream sequels. I watch all Scream sequels just like, don't mess it up, don't mess it up,
Yeah.
don't mess it up. And then I can only relax once I've actually finished the film.
No, but it is like Scream, the new Scream that came out this year. When I went to the cinema to see it, I think I was that excited for it, and I really wanted it to be like perfect and this, that, and the other. And then I came out and I was a bit like, oh. But then when I rewatched it, I realised how much I did like it, and it has actually gone up in my estimation. So I'm a bit like that generally. Like I need a second viewing of things that are really passionate about and that I really enjoy. And I think it did help when I rewatched it today because I realised how much fun it was, and it almost had like a Babysitter Club feel to it. And I love Babysitter Club, but the start kind of had like a Babysitter Club feel to it to me. So, but I did keep thinking, like, obviously they're appealing to this a younger audience than maybe what the book is aimed at. So I kept thinking, can you imagine people going to the book now? They'll be
It
like,
didn't
oh.
feel as horror driven as it could have been. You get what I'm
Should
saying?
have been.
Yeah, it felt like, because here we have a rating system of R is for 17 and older, PG-13 is for 13 and older, PG is parental guidance suggested, so there might be like some curse words or whatever in it, and then G is general audience, is mainly like cartoons and stuff like that. So this was, I think it was actually PG-13.
Yeah.
So there really wasn't much to it except for like some grotesque like vomiting and stuff like that. It wasn't really too bad, and some cursing. That was it. So
yeah, they must have made a conscious decision somewhere to go down the not so horror route. I'm guessing maybe to get a bigger audience.
I think that was a mistake because Stranger Things is absolutely frightful. Yeah. It's gruesome as hell, and my 12-year-old blooming loves it. And I'm like, you can't watch it; it's too scary. Number 4 is too scary. Let me just watch the first one, Mum. And if I don't like it and have nightmares, I won't watch anymore. All right, then you can watch it with me. She's like, what, this? This is nothing. I was like, oh my God, it's frightening. What's wrong with you?
How old is she?
They're like, she's 12. So she
my 8-year-old niece
not worried.
Watches it.
Oh my God.
There you are, yeah. It just depends on the kids.
Things? The last time I saw her, she was all about Barbies and unicorns, and this is like only a few months ago. And now she's watching all
kids,
Stranger Things.
Yeah. God bless the horror kids.
That's brilliant.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think they could have gone darker and still would have captured the younger audience. I think they might have put off the younger audience by not going dark enough because they're all watching Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I think it did give me like Babysitter Club vibes a little bit just at the beginning. But I love Babysitter Club, so yeah. Larissa replied to Eddie's comment earlier, I think, about Eddie put personally the first chapter of the meeting was something that I feel was left out. And Larissa put that she gets what Eddie's saying. I'm not sure how powerfully it would have translated in a limited narrative. Because I suppose you've only got a certain amount of time, so I do agree there. Like, you've got a certain amount of time to get that friendship across. And I think they did it in like 10, 15 minutes in the film, didn't they? So I suppose it depends how much runtime they were given, and things like that. Marissa's put there was a lot behind it that may not have translated fully into the film, which is could be. It must be really hard to write like a screenplay of things? Like,
Oh, really hard.
how, like, Emma, how do you think, like, what are the differences? Like, how can you translate a novel to screen? Like, what do you think?
Well, everything's condensed in a screenplay, isn't it? It's like I've written a couple of scripts myself, just entering competitions, nothing produced.
Yeah.
But everything's condensed. I remember when I first tried to write a script, and as a novel writer, I struggled. I was like, putting all this flowery description in the description there. You just like this, then this, then this, then this. You know, but it still has to be, in order to capture somebody who's looking at it, it still has to be amazing writing. So it's incredibly hard to do, especially, and if you're adapting someone else's work, I feel that you really do need to involve that writer in it. I don't know how involved Grady was in it, but he didn't come up on the credits as someone that had written the script, so he wasn't involved or edited it, so he wasn't didn't look like he was involved. And I think you really do need that little bit of backing, like you could see what went wrong with Game of Thrones. I know that George was involved in it, but I don't think he wrote any of the last bit, and all the fans went, ah! You know, you know, like, you know, especially my husband, I'm never watching that again. But he is watching the new one, so so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I think it is hard, and it is it's a different skill set. If you can master both, then you're a bit of a genius. But it is a different skill set, and it's hard to take this whole thing and then put it into like 30 pages or whatever it is of a feature.
Yeah,
it's really difficult, and it's hard to choose what to include and what not to include. I think you really have to be a fan of the source material in order to get it right. That's just my opinion. You have to be a super fan.
Yeah. Have you ever done any script writing, Josh, or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done bits and pieces, like nothing produced, like Emma said. I did listen to a podcast recently with Gillian Flynn, who obviously did
Gone
what's it
Girl.
called, Gone Girl,
Yeah.
and adapted the movie script as well.
Yeah.
And she said that initially her script was like 300 pages long, which is insane because it's like one page is basically a minute of screen time.
Yeah.
So that's 300 minutes. And she said
she's nuts.
Yeah.
That's almost 6 hours.
Theories.
She said that that with a book, it's what the character thinks, and a movie is about what the character does. Because a movie, obviously, you don't necessarily get the thinking part unless you have a narration, which I thought was like a really interesting definition of the two.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to write scripts all the time in school growing up.
You've written scripts before, haven't you?
Oh, I've written a lot. I was looking, I thought I had them down here, but I had like notebooks full of scripts that I wrote that for like a TV show that never came out.
It needs to come out.
What was it called? Dustin?
It was called, funnily enough, it was called West End. So I thought of that. I was
West End.
West End of London, but it's not. But I just called it West End, and there was East End and there was West End. It was almost like High School Musical. You had the East High and West High, whatever, or North High, whatever. And but it was just a soap opera type script. But and yeah, you're right. It's all about what they do, not what they think. The only time you would write by what they think is when you're trying to describe to the actor, like if it's a silent scene or something, like she's thinking this, and so the actor's got to like think it to like show it on their face, to convey that a certain anger or something. If you want to get them there, that's the only time you really write things. You write it for them to read to make sure they get the emotion, but you don't tell them exactly what to feel, like the facial expressions to make, or you just kind of tell them what they're supposed to be feeling, not if that makes sense. And it also depends on the
and you'd know that.
Yeah,
because you're an actor as well, aren't you?
Yes, exactly. I have a bunch of scripts here. I have Guys and Dolls right down here. You do that a lot. So you end up, it depends on how the script is written. If somebody includes that, it also depends on the filmmaker and how they interpret the script too, and if they get the right cinematographer, and all that factors in. So it's hard to make it perfect. So that's the reason why some movies just get a lot more recognition, because they got a lot more, all the puzzle pieces have come together,
I've never written scripts, and I can't imagine how hard it must be to write a script, especially with a book that's so loved by people, or just not just necessarily this book, but any book that is like been a huge success and so loved by, and it's got a big fan base. Like, I can't imagine how difficult the pressure must be to write a script based on one of those books. That must be like, yeah, I wouldn't like to do it. Definitely, definitely not. I'd like tear my hair out. Yeah, call the Exorcist. I noticed Melina had put interesting that the whole satanic panic element was left out. Do you feel that was left out? Do you think, Dustin?
Yes, they mentioned it a lot in the book, like, because that was a big deal in the late '80s, especially. Like, and I thought that would. I thought that a few times watching. I was like, they're gonna bring up satanic panic when. Oh no! Okay.
There's one mention in there about the girl who died in the shack. That's the only.
Yeah, that's about it. But that wasn't. That was like a true thing. It wasn't like they, that was the thing, that this girl died in the shack because they were doing a satanic ritual, and they go in and they see that there's an altar. There's all this. So it's obviously confirmed that's not a panic thing. That's a real thing. Yeah. But satanic panic was all about, like, we see that in Stranger Things with the whole Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And and anybody who wore all black, or anybody who just was a little different, they must be Satan worshipers, and so they didn't really do that in this. That's what kind of threw me off a little.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I agree. I'm really fascinated by like satanic panic and cults and things like that. Like, I just find it really interesting. And
don't donate any money until you know for sure it's not a cult. Call one of us.
1-800-CULT.
Don't drink any drinks.
We will talk you down. Don't join a cult, Shelley.
No, I'm just honestly I'd like to think that I wouldn't get fooled, but you never know. These things happen.
Babysitters Club, Shelley, come in.
I'll be like, yeah.
Here's your robe. Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, is this snazzy?
Have some of this fruit punch. It's not blood, it's fruit punch.
Honestly, I would totally fall for it. Karen put it's been that long enough since she read the book that she's forgotten a lot of what was in the book compared to the movie. So what she saw was just the stuff I remembered from the book and not the stuff I forgot. I think that's quite interesting. It'd be interesting to see how soon people read the book compared to the movie and things like that. And
I agree with that, with what she said, because I really didn't remember much from the book. Like, I remember how I felt from reading it. I remember the book-ended stuff, but other than that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that happens. Oh yeah. So that's the reason why I didn't remember the whole birds flying over thing. I was like, what is that? What is this? I didn't get it, but.
No, it was especially weird watching this, having just watched Hocus Pocus 2, which also has a bird hanging over every scene.
Yeah.
I was like,
I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, that's in the trailer.
I was going to watch it, and then I didn't want to get myself confused with chats and stuff, because you know what I'm like. So I thought I better leave it.
That's all right. But, and I think the atmosphere as well, though, wasn't it? For me, what I remembered was the creepy atmosphere. I thought, with the movie, the pace and the tone was completely wrong. For me, I was expecting to feel some fear in there, and the element of urgency. You remember how stressed Abby was about getting this thing out of her. Oh my God, I'm the only one who can help her, and
And it was a gradual thing too.
Yeah, it was. So the pace and the tone was completely wrong for me. I know that it was funny in places, like what Josh said. That was the part with the now you're pregnant. That made me laugh so hard. But yeah, that and Lemon obviously brought the element of comedy into it. Brother Lemon. But it had to be dark, so you could have that contrast, and it wasn't quite dark enough for that contrast to work like it did in the book.
Yeah.
But, I knew Shelley would be so happy with that. Brother Lemon was great. He was.
Well, I loved. So, favourite characters then? I'll just go first.
Go, Shelley.
Brother Lemon.
Surprise.
He was my favourite in the book. And I know when me and Dustin Buddy read it, we did a little thing for Dustin's podcast at the time. I think it was when you were doing the monthly catch up things.
Oh yeah.
we were like saying who would we cast as Brother Lemon, and obviously I said, "Oh, Adam Devine." I haven't mentioned him for a while.
Oh, Adam.
But when I saw that, is it Chris Lowell? I think you say it. When I saw his thing, yeah,
It's Lowell. That's what you would say.
Oh.
Lol.
I'll just call him
Lowell.
Sexy Chris. Sexy Chris.
That's fine.
So when he was cast, I was like, oh my God, yes. He is the perfect Brother Lemon. And like, I just love him in Glow and How I Met Your Father and Promising Young Woman. I thought he was really good in. And I just, I just absolutely love him. Like, he might have just picked the post to Adam Devine now. Don't tell Adam.
I'm telling Adam.
Well, Adam's married now, so
At Adam.
I don't know if Christopher Lowell is married, so at least you are though. But
that doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter where I
care. Is he on your list now?
Off,
if you meet the celebrity, I'm allowed to hook up with him? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, he has been since Glow. I loved him in Glow. And,
I love that. Glow was my favourite.
It's a travesty that it didn't get a final series.
Cancelled mid-filming. Awful.
Yeah, a travesty. But yeah, and I just love him, and I just think he was the perfect Brother Lemon. So it's out my system now. I've been exercised. It's out my system. But who was your favourite character, Dustin? Who did you like?
I would probably say, I would probably say the same actually, because he was just the most animated, and to speak to what Emma was saying before, the movie itself, I felt this is what I would have done. I would have made everything bright and colorful in the beginning. And then like typical 80s poppy, neon colors, stuff like that. And then as bad things started to happen, like it would start slowly get darker. People's clothing would be a little more muted.
Brilliant.
Stuff like that. But it felt like it was the same vibe throughout the entire movie. And when Brother Lemon came in, you're like, okay, good. All right. Now we got some energy going. All right, let's do this, and I kind of wanted more of him in the movie actually. Cause it felt like, I think it was the same amount as he would have been in the book, but it felt like in the movie they should have added him a little bit more in, had him a little more involved, a little more funny, bumbling and
no, definitely.
But,
oh, I loved him so much. How about you, Josh? Did you have a favourite character?
I thought he was great, but I did really like Gretchen. I thought is it Amia Miller? I thought she did a fantastic job because she had to do such a range. She was Gretchen as Gretchen, then she was Gretchen possessed, but sort of fighting it, and then she was basically just the demon. So I thought she was great. She kind of stole the show for me.
Yeah, I thought she was really great, and I saw a little interview yesterday that she'd done, or I think she was on the Prime Stories or something on Instagram, and she said that to prepare for those exorcism scenes, her and her mom actually watched like real life exorcisms or something to like get into the mindset of doing it. And I was like, wow, like I don't know whether I'm too scared to do that. And also, I think she's turned down roles before with Ouija boards in them, but she was that passionate about this film that she did it. And I know Grady Hendrix tweeted that he's so pleased that she did do it. Like she was always scared that her family was going to get cursed or something if she did. Yeah.
Like the Poltergeist movies?
No, don't make me say
that was cursed.
No, he's just trying to make me say poltergeist.
Oh,
you did it!
I think
we broke the curse.
But do you know what made me say it right though? It's because Dustin said it's like Christ. So now I'm like Polter, Christ, Geist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Ask me next week and I won't be able to say it again.
There you
go. How about you, Emma? Who was your favourite character?
Same as Josh. Gretchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely thought she did a tremendous job. For me, she was very captivating. I couldn't stop watching her in all her different... Like, I was waiting for what she's going to do next. I especially liked her in her demon sass kind of phase because they put a wig on her and made her hair even bigger and made her kind of sparkle. So she went from looking like to looking like ooh. And I thought she did a magic job the whole way. I bought her as being possessed the whole way through. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it was really good casting, like perfect casting. Really. Melina's put, I think the film is aimed at a younger audience. I think my teenage nieces will love watching it. And yeah, I think that's the vibe I got. It was aimed at definitely at a younger audience. Karen's put possessed piranhas. I must have missed something in the comments there. We need to make merch. Eddie's videos put if aimed at you get if aimed at something an audience, why on earth was it rated R? Oh, okay, so R's quite a high rating then, Justin, is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that Blonde movie came out on Netflix over there or not. Did it?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
That's NC-17, which means you have to be 18 or older. Like you have to be an adult and a legal adult in the United States to watch it. So rated R is you have to be 17, just under an adult to be able to see something. So mostly like every like horror, Freddy, Jason, any of those movies would be rated R, you know?
Yeah.
And so they don't really want teenagers to see it. Now, they would let them in. They would still let them in, especially in the 80s. Now they've gotten a lot more strict about it. Right. So like, but nowadays they're really strict about it. They don't let you get the ticket unless and even if a parent buys it, you're supposed to be accompanied by a parent. And a lot of times they still don't. And since teenagers are the ones who work at these places, they don't really care. But they could get in trouble because it's not, they could get sued by somebody. But so PG-13 is usually what this would actually, I think it should have been rated because it wasn't nearly as intense as it should have been for a rated R movie.
Oh, I wonder why it got that.
Perhaps they cut those bits out.
I
guess they rated it and then cut the bit out.
There might be a director's cut at some point. We'll see.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. Cameron's put the scene with the Lemon Brothers on stage at school was hilarious. So obviously that scene in the book is hilarious, and I think I saw the one who did the screenplay. Is it Jenna? She wanted to put more of that in because she just loves that scene in the book. But yeah, I think they did really well. But I think Grady has said that they're based on I think it was the Power Team, which was like a bodybuilding Christian stunt show in the 80s that he saw like advertisements on the TV for in the 80s. But I don't remember anyone ever coming to my school like doing stuff like that. Do you?
We had like police dogs, we just sat there. Didn't really do anything. It reminded me of something that I experienced in New Zealand as a Brit. So I moved to New Zealand when I was 16. My family emigrated, and that's where I met my husband. And it's very Americanized in New Zealand. A lot of people don't know that. But I went to what I thought was going to a party with my new friend who was also British, and we kind of sort of gravitated towards each other. She said, "Oh, I'm going to take you to this party." I was like, "Oh, great. So we're going to watch a band." I was like, "Yeah, band. Cool." And so we went into this church. I'm like, "I'm going to burn up coming in here. You can't take me in here." And it was like, "Shut up, Emma, don't be silly." And so we went in, and it was a band, but it was a Christian rock band. And they were like, "Jesus." And I was like, "What's going on? You don't do this in a church." And I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And they had like punch that they were giving out in those little red American cups, that they have.
Cups.
Yeah, that's it, Dustin. So I was like, oh, I've got into the Twilight Zone. It was the most weirdest thing I'd ever experienced. And that Lemon Brothers reminded me of that. I went back to when I was 16 watching that band going, what is going on?
Yes.
Oh, God. I don't
We
think
have
I
a
ever
thing-
did
it was
anything
shocking.
like that.
In the United States, especially in the Bible Belt is what they call it, which is mainly the South, and it's full of churches and people are religious, and they're like, "Hey guys, we're hip. Look at us. We have rock music. I love Jesus. Yeah." Like, this isn't as hip as you think it is, guys. This is really lame. It's really lame. And they're like, "No, it's not. We love God and we're gonna rock out to it." Like, you just can't. Stick to the hymns. Stick to the gospel. Don't do this to yourself. It's very forced, and it's very uncomfortable when you're watching it. And oh my gosh, at my my doctor's office the other day, all they were doing was playing the Christian rock station and you hear it. And I'm in the waiting room, station. And I'm like, oh man, is
it called Christian rock?
Christian rock? Yes. Oh. And the reason why they came to that school was because it was a Christian school. That's the reason why in the movie they came to that school, because it was a Christian school. So but we did get lame people come in. Don't do drugs, kids. You shouldn't do drugs. Say no, and don't drink and drive. That stuff. And that was the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It's called MAD. And
sorry.
And they'll bring like a car that's been in a car wreck, and they'll like, this was what happened when this person drunk, was drinking and driving. And then they'll do a thing where they'll get you a baseball bat and you get to bash on the car, which I don't understand what that has to do with it.
Do they get them drunk as well?
This is what you feel. And so then after they've done it, they have it outside. Actually, it's in the front lawn for like a month. It'll be on the front lawn of the school, and you just see this bashed up car. I'm like, why does this look like a junkyard in the front of the school? Like,
that's hilarious.
This is for MAD. And I'm like, I'm just, and they're sad. And that's what they call it SAD, Students Against Drunk Driving.
Oh, wow.
So it's called MAD, SAD. I think there's a dad.
Bad badges against drunk. Oh no, you have scary badges over there, don't you? Badges against drunk driving.
Yeah. Honey badger don't care.
Don't drive drunk, you'll squash a badger.
Oh my god, I feel like I missed out. Like I didn't have any of this. I don't remember any of this at school.
No, we didn't have that.
No, we had the yo-yo guy. Did you have the yo-yo guy in the 80s? The spinners. The yo-yo guy that came with the spinners. With the Sprite spinners and the Fanta spinners and the Coke spinners. Did you not have that? Yeah!
We didn't have that, but I know what you're talking about. I saw it on TV, but yeah.
We had him come to our school and do a whole presentation, and then everyone was like, oh, I've got to have a yo-yo, got to have a spinner.
My theater group in high school would go around to the local grade schools for 12 years old and down. So in high school, we would go around and we would do Halloween safety skits. And we would dress up in costumes, and we would perform like, don't take candy from houses you don't, if you're not in your neighborhood. Don't walk alone. Don't wear all black because cars can't see you if you're walking down the street. Stuff like that. And then we would also have like a choreographed dance number in the middle of it.
Oh, cool.
We did Thriller. So we're like, the one I was in was the Addams Family. So of course I'm the tallest. I played Lurch. And one day I have it all on tape. At some point I'll get it converted and I'll put it out there. But
yes, I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see
crazy.
That.
But I was just looking down at Karen's note to Emma, and it's pretty funny. If you can read it. It just came up.
I can't read it. What does it say, Dustin?
My friends took me to their Christian rock church at Easter, and they had fainting goats on the stage. As soon as the band started, both goats were just on the floor.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Oh, that's hilarious! Oh my goodness!
Hang on, I've got so many questions. Like, why did they faint? Like
they get startled and they faint.
Oh, so
they're real goats. They're goats that faint when they get startled. It's like a defense mechanism.
Why
they sniff it up and they fall. I'm not kidding. Look it up. You'll find videos of them doing that.
Fainting goats.
Wow.
Fainting goats.
I thought you said. Do you know what I thought you said? Phantom goats. I was like, wow, that's cool. Where do you get one of those?
My accent. My lights have just spookily gone off behind me.
That happened last time.
There must be I must have set them on the timer. Oh no.
You have a spirit in that house. I think you have a spirit.
It's so scary.
Definitely do.
Gavin's put the Lemon Brothers were like teenage versions of Mr. Motivator.
Yeah.
So over here we have Mr. Motivator, and he used to motivate you to exercise.
Skin tight,
I loved him.
Onesie, early in the morning, glasses. Brilliant.
Yep, he was brilliant. Watch him in the morning.
He was so happy.
I mean, if they turned up like Sexy Chris, like in a little top, then I would have probably took notice. But No, I don't remember any of this stuff. Eddie's videos put, if you want a movie to be seen by teens, you never aim for an R rating. Okay, that's interesting. I've never really thought about it before, because I think, like, Karen was celebrating. I said oh no!
It's gone!
Poltergeist! Right.
Ah!
And agreed. Eddie's put, agreed. Gretchen was perfectly cast. When I read the book, she's exactly who I imagined. Yeah, I completely agree on that. So Karen's put, I need to find someone possessed by a demon purely so I have a reason to yell, the power of Tiffany compels you. So obviously I presume that's a reference to the music. So I thought the soundtrack was good. I would have liked a few more 80s songs in there from the chapter headings in the book. But if you could have a dream 80s soundtrack, what would be on your soundtrack, Josh?
Age of 17 by Stevie Nicks. That's my gospel. Love that song.
Yeah.
Well,
what about you? That's all you need.
That's all I need.
What about you, Emma? What would be on your 80s soundtrack?
Well, my brother once bought me, and I don't know where it went. It got lost as I was travelling. The Lost Boys soundtrack. I had the tape. I don't know where it is now. It got lost as I was travelling back and forth from New Zealand. But yeah, that would be mine. That's such an awesome album.
Yeah. God, that is good. That is definitely good. What about you, Dustin? What would be on your 80s soundtrack?
I think there's so many songs. The first one that popped in my head is Aha's "Take on Me." Just because I just like the whole synthesized sound, and the music video also pops into my head, and being one of the most innovative music videos of all time, really. And
I love that video.
And I love how most people still don't know what they sing. You know what I mean? And I know what they sing, and I love singing. I love blowing people's mind with it. So, do you know what they sing? Do you know what they sing?
Yeah, I think so. But only because I've heard
now I'm questioning myself.
This really cool acoustic version, like really slowed down and that, so you can hear the words properly.
They say, "Take me on, take me on, take," and then they say, "I'll be gone," and then people go, they don't know what they're singing, and I'm like, it's in a day or two. And then after that they go, in a day. Which I've always found fun. I love actually doing that and going, in a day. I just love doing it in front of other people. It's fun.
Dustin, have you seen that filter on TikTok that you can?
Yes,
I
just
use?
haven't done it yet. Everybody's done it now. It's like it's old now, so I'm like, I'll wait.
Didn't a British boy band cover it? Like what they called it, A1?
A1.
Yeah.
A1.
Gosh.
Space or something flying.
In the 90s.
Really bad.
In the 90s. I always like Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth. Like, I think that would be.
I was obsessed with that as a kid.
Yeah, I was. I used to sing it in the playground. Like me and my friend, we used to put on little concerts in the playground.
Cute.
We used to sing that and Madonna before we realised what some of the Madonna lyrics were.
I used to sing like a virgin at the top of my lungs when I was about 6.
And Wigwam Bam, who remembers that one? Wigwam Bam, gonna make you my man.
That's awesome.
Oh dear. And obviously
used to sing that in the playground.
Never Ending Story has to be on every soundtrack.
And Labyrinth.
I love the soundtrack to Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. That's all 80s songs. They got a great soundtrack. So
that's a good one.
Time After Time.
Mm-hmm.
Learn all that dance. So did you have a favourite scene in the movie, Emma?
A favourite scene in the movie, I think my favourite scene was probably when Brother Lemon was performing the exorcism. That's probably my favourite. That was the most interesting for me. That was the one I laughed at quite a bit, and he was throwing salt in her face. I just remember, because that's accurate to the book. I mean, he was going to do some horrible things to get this demon out of her. So yeah, that one, that's definitely. And obviously, by the lake, when they were all by the lake, I do remember her going under, like jumping off. Gretchen jumped off and went under, I think, in the book, and then they went out looking for her. Which I liked better because it was creepier, but I still quite liked that, you know, the dark lake woods.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Did they change the ending slightly? Like, I swear that the exorcism just took place in the bedroom, not in the
They did
hut.
change it. And there was no fire breathing either.
No. Yeah. I think Grady did tweet that. He said, "Oh, that was different to his ending," kind of thing. But yeah, did you have a favourite scene, Josh?
As an asthmatic, I liked the nut allergy.
Oh yeah,
That would be horrifying, and I kind of wish they had killed off Glee, even though it would have been awful. It really would have hammered home the stakes of like,
she
this
was so
thing's gonna
sweet.
kill you. Yeah, I thought that was a really effective and horrible moment. Like using the known weaknesses of your friends against them as a demon is just really effective.
And I think was it Rob? I wrote it down somewhere. Funny enough, I think it was Christopher Landon had said that hot and cold scene was thanks to one of his friends who. I don't know whether like they actually like hid the EpiPen, but one of his friends came up with like a hot and cold thing in the bathroom because it's quite scary. That is like hot, cold, you're gonna die kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was a scary scene. Yeah. How about you, Dustin? Did you have a favourite scene?
Probably the tapeworm scene.
Oh yeah.
Just because it stands out, it was just kept coming out, and it was like 11 feet long.
Yeah.
Which the thing is, your intestines equal up to like 13 feet when pulled out. I know this because I've had a foot and a half, taken out. So when I was 19, I had Crohn's disease. I still have it, and nothing was going through, so that bad part had to be taken out. And so I have 11 and a half feet left. So when they took, I was like, shit, that was almost her entire intestines. It was all like. It was horrible, and just the fact that I forgot all about that, and I was like, "Oh, that's right, I forgot she had a tapeworm," and they're just pulling it out, like, "Oh!" But the dog takes it, and I was like, "No, don't let the dog take it!" Like, I didn't want it to jump into the dog.
Yeah.
I agree.
Gross.
That scene, I was so glad that they kept that scene in with the tapeworm, because that's the scene I remember most from the book, because it's. In the book, it's just horrifically graphic and scary. So I'm glad they kept it in. And obviously that was like a play on in the 80s, wasn't it, with these dietary supplements. There was like a rumour that you'd
Slim
get
Shake.
tapeworms, and stuff like that. So I kind of like that.
Something similar happens in Poltergeist 2 when he drinks the worm from the tequila. And there's
that's true.
Vomit monster comes out,
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I never went near those tequila worm bottles. They always scared me.
But isn't it weird how like that is ingrained? Because I always remember like tequila with the worm, and you'd be like, "Oh, you can't have the worm. You can't have the worm. Is it all like grow inside?
It'll kill you."
Because
it's potent, full of alcohol.
Pure alcohol.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you have the whole watermelon seeds thing. Like you don't eat a watermelon, don't eat the seeds. You're gonna
grow in your stomach.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't it weird how you just pick things up? So Karen's put her favourite scene is when Brother Lemon runs away from the exorcism and she takes over with her made-up exorcism that somehow works. Because it's the power of friendship, Karen. Power of friendship.
You expect the Care Bears to come out and just start shooting hearts and stuff out of their stomach.
Yeah.
The Care Bears there.
And John Wonderboy's put his favourite scene was the last scene in the car. Their friendship was utterly believable, and despite it feeling a bit rushed, I was so very emotional by the end. And that's the main crux of the film is the friendship, isn't it? And it's quite endearing. And Karen's put, how did she not consider the possibility of nuts in the brownie before even touching it? As someone with with a fun allergy. You are never not on full alert. So she was blasé about it. I think it's just
because her friend.
she trusted
Yeah.
Gretchen.
Yeah, but at the
didn't she?
same time, I agree with her. Like, just to make sure there are no nuts in this, right? Like, at
Yeah.
least you would say that.
Yeah.
And then she would have gone, no.
But at least you would ask. You would have asked at
No.
least, you know. I'm not even going to ask. I'm just going to eat it based on faith, you know.
Talking of eating, didn't Brother Lemon like hot dogs? Did he like hot dogs? Or is it just me making that up?
I'd like Brother Lemon's hot dog.
Shelley!
Get out the toothbrush again.
Gonna grab
Lord.
Shelley!
Woo.
I've actually got
A little drink on that one.
I've actually got red.
That was too quick, Shelley. That was.
Oh God, it's because I've got a smutty mind. Even Eddie's put, oh my God, Shelley, I'm so sorry.
Oh, like Eddie's want to talk. It's Freudian slips in. Did some wine say tequila? And he goes, some wine. Damn, you autocorrect. I'm like, yeah, that's what he meant. That's what he meant.
No, I think you are right about Brother Lemon. Emma. I think he did. I think it was hot dogs. I wonder if it was hot
Yeah, I
dogs
was
in
waiting
the
for the
book
hot
and then it
dogs.
was yogurt in the movie.
Yeah, because that stuck out in my mind about hot dogs for some reason. I thought, wasn't he always eating hot dogs? What was he up
Itty bitty
to?
spoon too. Like,
And then and then when he got his finger in, I was like, oh yeah.
oh God. Josh, what are we gonna do with them?
Shelley's head's about to spin around. Which is
Josh is disgusting.
Whip. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh no. John Wonderboy's put Shelley needs a horny exorcism. Right, let's move on.
Who was it who put that on Twitter? She put something like that on Twitter. Oh, it was a little meme or something about the kids.
It was John Wonderboy, yeah, about Christopher Pike.
That was it, about Christopher Pike, because I'm reading that at the moment. That's hilarious, yeah.
Oh, see, it's not, if Christopher Pike can do it, then it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
We'll move on swiftly.
Swiftly moving on.
Oh dear. So one of my last questions was, what did you think of the ending with is it Andras, the demon? Was he was he what you expected him to look like, or was he a bit different? Dustin?
I don't I'm going to be honest. I do not remember him even emerging in the book.
I don't think. No, I don't think he does so much.
I don't know. And I thought maybe if, and they showed him, I was like, oh, and he ended up being the shorter little demon that I was like, well, he's not very menacing. He didn't look very menacing. He was just tiny. Yeah, like Gollum or something, It was kind of like, he should have been bigger.
Yeah.
I think he should have been bigger. A little, and stockier, maybe. But
do you think maybe because they were going down that like comedy element, which is like in the book, the comedy / horror comes across really well, so maybe it's because they were trying to make it comical. I don't know, but
I guess, but then it felt like the stakes weren't as high,
Yeah.
For that.
No, I agree on that. Yeah. What do you think, Josh? What did you think when you saw Andras?
I thought I was impressed by the CGI. I thought the CGI was pretty solid.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really needed. I felt like, I guess the genre kind of demands something like that. But I think because the focus had been so much on the friends, you almost didn't really need that little kind of flourish on the end. But yeah, I've got very little memory of what happens at the end of the exorcism in the book, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you actually see in the book. You don't see read what a description of what Andras looks like. I think she just gets exercised and he's gone, kind of thing. I think from what I remember. What about you, Emma? What did you think when you saw Andras?
I thought it was stupid. Sorry. I was like, this looks like Does anyone ever watch The Storyteller with their little red devils? It is my favourite one of The Storyteller. Is it John Hurt? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Jim Henson.
And Jim Henson's, yeah, the puppets. Obviously, Josh would know. And those little devils, yeah, it reminded me of one of those, and they're not at all scary. Actually, I think they're scarier than that. I was like, what is that little thing that's just popped out? And I was like, that's what's causing all the trouble? No. But yeah, I was just looking at the book, and you don't see it at all.
I didn't.
It's much more scary when you don't see the thing. And if it was just a shadow leaving her, even if they wanted to do something leaving her to symbolise it had gone, even just a shadow would have been better than that.
Or like maybe something was going to manifest, like you saw something coming slowly,
like rising up,
and then she stopped it. You know, that would have been a little different. That would have been a little more menacing. But then you saw it, and you're like, oh. You know,
and that maybe the walls were getting dark, like you said, with the, you know, everything was getting dark, and it was coming out, and it was like, oh my gosh, and then just it's gone, you know. But this little thing going, I was like, oh, no. That's not it.
I think I would have liked like a bit of almost like, you know, like in Lost, where you've got like the smoke monster kind of thing, and you never really know what it is, and like it's this unknown entity. I would have liked something like that, I think, just so that you don't quite know.
You don't. And like in Lost Boys, when they're flying, but you never actually see them flying over the ocean. It's just the camera going over the ocean. That's
the point of view shot.
The point of view, so you know they're flying, and you can hear them sort of laughing, but you can't see them, because if you could see them, it'd look daft, wouldn't it? On strings. So,
that's so true. That's so true. John Wonderboy has put the CGI demon took me out a bit. I don't think they needed it, which is kind of what you said, Josh. They didn't really need it. I think like an unknown presence definitely would have been a little better.
Scarier.
Yeah, and John's put as well, Dobby the house elf was what it reminded me of. And I did see a few people on Twitter, to be fair, and Grady did reply to them saying it looked like Gollum, and things like that and stuff. So
well, what's Sirius Black's family? Creature, Sirius Black's one. That's what it looked like.
The attitude was what it reminded me of, that face.
Yeah. But I definitely think they did go down that comedy route with it, but I'm not sure whether that paid off for me. Like I didn't quite get it at that point. I think like what John said, it lost me a little bit then, because I thought, I'm not sure what angle you're kind of going down. And Karen's put, they did a great job on the spooky house. It was just how I imagined that setting when I read it. And I do agree on that. I think the house was spot on. The setting was good.
I think the film looked amazing. Like the cinematography was really gorgeous. And like really deep darkness and sort of quite atmospheric and a bit Nightmare on Elm Street-ish, I guess. Like looking at the film is just like beautiful.
Costume design was good.
Because I loved all the 80s reference, and I think it did feel like quite authentic 80s to me. Did it to you guys? Like,
I think it did for the most part.
I think
it did, but it didn't do this. It didn't do the same thing that Stranger Things did. Like when watching Stranger Things, I was transported. I wasn't quite transported. It was almost like I was looking for a window at the 80s. Like because we've experienced it. It's and grown up in the 80s, and I had friends like that. I had a friend group, so it was normally three of us, and it would be either me, Jolene, and Shelley, or me, Jolene, and Catherine. I don't know why it was never the four of us. It just never was. But Jolene and I were like the Gretchen and the Abby, and we were polar opposites, and we met and we became friends simply because our birthdays are on the same day and we're 2 hours apart. I'm older, but Jolene's still like, and we're still friends to this day. So it's that, that kind of element was great. I thought that was great. But it didn't quite feel like didn't quite hit it. It was very close though.
Yeah. It's like Cameron just put shout out to the set designers of Gretchen's house with the gold and pink picture frames. We had those in the 80s.
And
Yeah.
the phone with the, the see-through phone. I always wanted one of those, and I was never bought one. With all the wires you could see in it.
Yeah.
Did you see that in
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Oh, I've always wanted
one of those.
those. Yeah, I always wanted one of those.
I wasn't allowed one.
Oh,
Stupid Emma.
And I like how they did the whole like grainy video for the credits in the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And the book, it had the same like the multicolored
like
lines
the
from the
lines.
book.
Yeah,
which I thought was cool. It's like,
Yeah,
that's a nice little
yeah.
tie-in.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I like that
I think
too.
it should have been a little like I think it should have played up the 80s camp a little more.
Yeah.
Because it felt like the book did some, and then I felt like they were going for more real 80s, and it should have been a little bit more campy to get you into it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you still lived through it, and it still looked like the 80s, but it wasn't, like I was saying at the beginning, like, it should have, like, been bright and colorful and just, like, more dissolved into the whole, and that way when the demon came out, it kind of got bright and colorful again. You know what I mean? Like, the whole Wizard of Oz effect type of thing,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Right, make it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And glitter. Oh, I better not say the other word. Said when he was set on fire, I thought, isn't he from hell? Yeah, exactly. Like he would have.
He'd love that.
He would have been like, yeah, baby, more.
I mean, he was only made of puke. He's made of vomit. So. What, I don't understand. Get a vacuum.
Oh dear. Yeah, John's put the synth 80s soundtrack was fantastic. Yeah, I do agree on that. I did like the soundtrack to it. So my final question then is, personally for me, I loved the glimpse at the end that you got of the characters and their kind of like future character development kind of thing. Was there anyone who stuck out to you as like your favourite, like in the future glimpse out of the characters? Josh?
I liked Margaret's. She becomes a campaigner or something, and she also writes horror books about parasitic aliens or something like that.
About killer worms, I think.
Yeah.
That was my
I love
favourite.
that. So now we need Grady to write that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Something to do with killer worms. How about you, Emma? Was the one that made you laugh in that end credits?
Same as Josh. When I saw Killer Worms, I actually won an award for a story which was about killer worms. So I've got a little award that's very precious to me. It was a short story that I wrote and years ago, and it was about killer worms attacking a family. And when I saw that, I was like, yeah, killer worms,
like this.
Like this, best buddies, man.
Oh, how about you, Dustin? What was your favourite little glimpse of the future for the characters?
think I love that Wallace Stoney didn't do much with his life, and he was like a janitor or something.
Yeah.
And I love that because he was such a dickhead. Like,
He
so
really
horrible.
was.
Like, just the entire movie, he was just not. Why would you date this person? Why?
Oh.
It was just gross. This is Lacoste.
This is Lacoste.
He deserved the vomit all over him. He deserved it. But the fact that he punched Gretchen in the middle of school and nobody did anything.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. Made me so mad because they all had money and she didn't. That kind of thing. But
yeah.
I was so glad to see the way his story ended up.
Yeah, I agree on that. He was. I was a bit like ha 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 when I saw that one. And obviously, I liked Brother Christian Lemon's future. That he was thrown out of the brothers trio, and his love of yogurt inspired him to become the CEO of the Spirit Yogurt franchise, and it's 32 heavenly flavours, which I would like to try.
Should have been the Spirit hot dogs,
preferably with Chris in like that little crop top or vest. I'm not fussy. I'd try the 32 flavour.
Oh dear.
Do you guys have Baskin Robbins over there?
Yeah.
What's that?
You
We
know,
used
In the
to,
cinema,
but
we
I
used
don't
to.
think it's
because
so
that's
big
they call it
anymore, is
31
it?
flavors in the 80s because that was what it was. They called it 31 flavors because
Ah.
it's and actually the Baskin Robbins is like the 3 and the 1 is in the B and the R of Baskin Robbins. So
Ah.
you
Oh, I've
had
never had that.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I've
don't
never
think
heard
it's
of that.
as big as it used to be. Like Baskin Robbins used to be quite popular, but I think like with Ben and Jerry's now, and
Okay.
was it Hagen
Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs.
I can't
Yeah,
say it.
Haagen-Dazs.
I think that kind of overtook it a little bit, but you still do get it like over
Yeah.
here. But yeah, nom, nom, nom,
Oh,
nom.
I don't know what that is.
It's
Oh,
just
okay.
You haven't
an
lived
ice
there,
cream
mate?
parlor. It's a chain.
Ice
So
cream. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then what's Karen put? How did they film that length of vomit? She was going for a good minute. Yeah, she was
She's
going for
such
a
a good
good
actor.
minute.
She just did it.
She just did
You know, no
it.
she just
complaints.
puked.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Yeah.
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 They said puke and she
Definitely.
went, phew.
How much? Yeah.
Oh God, she was going for a while. Yeah, so I mean, overall, obviously, we're saying we kind of we like the film, we like the book, but I kind of look at it as that, like, I think the film came across with the spirit of the book, as in with regards to the friendships. But for me, I think the film stands on its own right, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to think that people might watch the film and then go to the book and enjoy the book a lot more, because it's obviously more horror. What do you think? So, like, overall, what do you think, Josh?
I liked it.
Did you?
I would
Yeah.
watch it again, I think. It's just like a good fun ride.
Yeah.
It's different to the book, but I think that's okay. You know, there
Yeah.
are plenty of films that are different to the books they were based on.
Shining.
I think, yeah, it's just like sort of a cheesy good time, I think.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Emma? What do you think, like, overall?
I'm never going to watch it again.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to everyone who made it. I never like to trash anything creative because it's so much hard work that go in, and there were really good elements in it. Really good elements in it that we've discussed on this chat.
Yeah.
But this is 10 times better. Just read the book, guys. Just read the book.
Nice.
But yeah, I think I can definitely see how you and Josh would really quite enjoy it. But I was quite disappointed. So I'm like, this is so.
No, I 100% do agree. The book is so much better. But when I watched it today for the second time, I kind of
liked it a bit
with
more.
like a different mindset kind of thing, and I enjoyed it more for the fun.
Yeah.
For the fun
And
elements.
I think if I hadn't read the book, I might think differently. I think that's the whole thing. Like, I had such high expectations because of Grady's excellence.
Yeah.
That I think that and things have translated really well from excellent book to excellent adaptation. But for me, it didn't quite hit the mark. So I'll stick with one.
But that's why I like discussing the chats with you guys, because I like that we all have like different opinions, and like everyone's taste is different, and it's really interesting to hear like different people's opinions and all that. So like,
and it's not that it's not a good film. It just wasn't for me and wasn't what I was expecting.
No, it was different to what I was expecting. I have to admit, it was different.
Yeah.
How about you, Dustin?
I agree with Emma. Actually, I think that the movie had the story there, but it just didn't have the same feeling that you got from the book. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that, oh yeah, I really love this. I'm really feeling this, you know, and I wasn't getting it. So it's not something I'm going to seek out to watch again. Now, if somebody else is watching it and they want to watch it and they want me to watch, I'll watch it with them, no big deal. But it's not something I'm not going to go looking for it again. It's not something I'm like, okay, I got. It's more like, okay, I saw that. What else is on? That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And as I say, I think we can say that we've picked out good elements of it.
Yeah.
Throughout the chat. And what I hope as well is that people who haven't read Grady Hendrix will watch that film and then go and discover, Grady's work and realise how brilliant he is, because I just think he's brilliant. And hopefully he'll get like more people buying his books then, and then we'll get more books from him. Fingers crossed.
And more adaptations. And let's have horror store. And let's have some book club. Let's have it all.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna
all of it.
we're getting a TV series of Final Girl Support Group and the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
Oh,
from what I understand, I think it's both HBO Max. I think, or I don't know if you guys have that, but Warner Brothers, whatever. I think they're both gonna be there, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
when they're
excited for
happening,
that.
but yeah.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I always think it's really hard when you've got something that is so, like, got such a fan base. It's like this isn't the same 'cause it's not horror, but I'm kind of looking forward to and dreading at the same time the adaptation they do of Daisy Jones and the Six, because I am terrified. I absolutely love that book. Like,
And this
I
one
love
too.
it. Oh God!
There
If
was
they
that
ruin
one
that
as
book,
well.
Josh, if they ruin that book, see what I mean? Like how passionate
See,
you
Shelley's
get.
going to
What book was
cry.
that, Josh? I didn't see it.
The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Okay, I don't know.
But when that comes out, I'm leaving the
I know
country.
of it, but I haven't read it.
It's really good.
In case Shelley doesn't like
It's
it.
so good. But the thing is, they're doing a film of Seven Husbands and then a TV series of Daisy Jones. And if they butcher them, no. But you
See,
see,
Shelley on
We'll
the
always
news.
have the book. We'll always have the book.
we'll always have the book. And that's
Exactly,
just
exactly,
it. But
Josh.
it is always a bit nerve-wracking when something we're so passionate about. And but yeah, I do keep saying to my poor husband, if they butcher Daisy Jones and the Six, I'm not going to be happy. So I think he's like a bit like, uh-oh, better not watch that with Shelley when it comes out. Just in case.
He better read the book if he's going to watch it with you. So that way he'll know what you're talking about when you interject. Nope, that's not right.
Oh dear. Yeah. It's so bad, isn't it? But it is. It just shows like the fan base that books like this get, and then people are just so passionate.
Well, like you
what
keep
is
bringing up the
perfect.
Babysitters Club, you remember? And you've read some of that, and then you go back and you watch the show. You're like, oh, this is actually a good adaptation because they're updating it for today's standards, but it still kept the heart in. You know, the same feeling you got from the books, even though they were complete, like 30, 40 years apart. So
and you know, I do think they did keep the heart of the friendship side of things in My Best Friend's Exorcism. So for me, that when I rewatched it today, that's what I enjoyed the most about it, that it stayed like the spirit of the book was kind of there. But it's been really interesting. Like, I've been loving chatting to you guys about it. I was like a bit like, oh God, I wonder what they're gonna think. And
lots of people loved it though, Shelley. You can see it all over Twitter. So you know.
Oh yeah, I've seen different people's. I've seen reviews that didn't like it, people that loved it,
and
that's
we're
the
all
power
different.
of film, isn't it, and book adaptations.
Totally.
So whoop, whoop. But no, thanks for chatting. So if anyone is still watching, oh yes, we have still got viewers. I haven't put them off with my hot dog comment.
That got us more viewers, actually, I think.
who said hot dogs? Yeah,
Hot dogs. Oh,
I feel like I'm going to go eat a hot dog now. You keep saying it. I'm like, I have hot dogs in the fridge. I need to make some.
Oh dear, I felt my face just went woof like a little beetroot. But yeah, do check out the brilliant Josh Winning and his book The Shadow Glass, which I do have by the side of me. I've always got it next to it.
Well done, Shelley.
Oh, mine is it. Oh.
I have
Yeah,
books
that's
everywhere. I don't even know what stuff is.
But it's only because I'm sorting my books out at the moment, so I've literally got books all to the side of me. But yeah, so do check Josh and his fabulous book out.
No, Brady. He eats lots of hot dogs. Don't tell him I said that.
You've got yogurt. He's got hot dogs.
Oh
Those
dear.
American hot dogs. You can't beat them.
The American hot dogs are bigger. There you go.
Oh God.
We know you have a kielbasa. It's all right.
Oh, it just reminded me of a conversation at work the other day, and I don't even know if I was talking about different sausages. I don't know. And they were like,
I think we know.
but my one work colleague, she said, "Oh, I like the little party sausages and that." And then my other work colleague said, "Oh, I bet Michelle's a Savoy girl." I said, "Forget it. It's a German sausage for me all the way." I couldn't remember what they were called. I know, it's terrible.
Avila.
Oh God, half of these chats are going to get taken down one day. Anyway, so do check Josh and his brilliant book out. Do check out the wonderful Emma, because exciting things are coming Emma's way. And do check out Dustin and his brilliant podcast. You've got Dustin Can Read and the Rewatch podcast, Rewatch Recap. That was it. I always get it wrong. And you're going to be doing My So-Called Life coming up soon.
October 17th is when we start. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we were recording right before I got on. So it's 19 episodes, and I just got done with episode 14. So we have like 5 more to go.
Wow. Yes, I'm really excited for that, Josh. And you've been covering the Scream TV series, series 1, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
And that's super fun. And Dustin makes like super cool drinks. I
don't know how much longer I can continue that, but.
That's funny. I watch those on TikTok.
It's super fun. So do check all these brilliant people out. And thanks to everyone that's joined in. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Eddie. Eddie said, "Shelley, you're such a wild child." Oh dear, no one's ever called me a wild child before. Normally like geek. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for a fabulous chat, and I'll see you next week because we're doing Midnight.
Thanks everyone.
We'll be back.
Yay, Midnight Club!
We'll be back.
Thanks guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.